Hi, very good morning to you. It's Gene from Maverickstar Observatory. You know, in the last video, I couldn't have been any more right, could have I? I said that over 6,000 people would view the video and that we would have less than 10 people chip in a few bucks. And I'll just want to level up with you guys here. You know, I'll just put it down on the table. You know, you're listening to right now one of the last scientists that have decided, you know, not to quit already on this subject. You know, to keep informing people like yourselves about the real situations that are taking place with regards to our Earth experiencing some pretty rare anomalies. First being the geomagnetic pole reversal. You know, we know what the implications are of that. But politically, we're engaging with, you know, the global political system on an issue. It's nothing short of that. You know, they are completely omitting clear facts in support of changing policies for all of us. As you sit there right now, your freedoms are going. You understand that, don't you? And the reason why I'm motivated to do these videos is because of two things. I want to set the record straight. You know, CO2 is not causing climate changes on our planet. You know, if you want to know what is causing some of the changes to our climate on our planet, I don't think you have to look much further than the magnetic pole reversal, because this is one of the rarest events that has not taken place on our planet for a long time, and it is clear and evident that, you know, this is directly affecting our atmosphere, in the fact that it is, for the last 120 years, been slowly eroding our upper atmosphere and thinning it down. That's why when you go out into the daylight, you know, in the sunlight, the direct sunlight, you'll probably notice, especially over the last 35 years, that you don't have to spend too long out there before your skin literally burns, as opposed to tans gently in that sun. You know, half hour exposure is probably now equivalent to 20 hours of exposure. And that's because the magnetosphere that protects us from the solar winds, or the sun's rays in layman's terms, has weakened by a factor of 20 to 25%. We're looking at this chart that shows 100,000 year cycles where our Earth returns back into interglacial and glacial periods. And you can see that CO2 rises after global temperatures, so CO2 clearly does not cause global warming. Our Earth warms up, and as a result, it is able to release that stored carbon, mainly from the oceans and land, back into our upper atmosphere. But even at today's levels, it is insignificant and doesn't change a damn thing, because, you know, we've got to this point in time only 0.04% of our atmosphere consisting of CO2. And I ask you this simple question: what is 0.04% going to inflict on anything across all ranges? If we dropped 0.04% of blue dye, pigment dye, into clear water and shook it up, you would never know it was there. And it's the same for our atmosphere. It is a gas that is not significant and not in great abundance, and it has zero effect on the grand scheme of things, especially with climate. You know, I want you to pay attention to the end of this chart, because it shows you where we are. We're at the end of an interglacial period, and I'm going to show you another chart now which clearly points out that fact, because we're going to concentrate on just the last 15,000 years. And if you look at the red peaks above the black line on this chart, you will see that interglacial periods don't last very long in comparison to glacial periods. And this is very significant, guys, because when you are comparing something like 10% of an interglacial period compared to 90% of a glacial period, you know that we spend more time with our northern and southern hemispheres in Arctic-like conditions. Now, it's very important because there has never been so many human beings flourishing on our planet. And it's like, I suppose an orchard, an apple orchard, you get the harvest season where the bumper crop has come in. And, we can compare that to human expansion. We have had the harvest season come in. The fruit is in abundance, or the humans are in abundance. And now we're going to start to see, a return to a winter crop or a winter period where the fruit just disappears off the trees. I'm sorry, it's probably not the best analogy, but what I'm trying to say to you is if the environment provides a situation where any species can thrive, it will do. And when that environment changes, then the decline of that species will also take place shortly after. I want to show you the next chart that concentrates just on the beginning of a glacial period and coming to the end of a glacial period. And it should come as no surprise when you look at this chart and you see that we've enjoyed the best of an interglacial period, that we should be expecting to see a returning back into a glacial period that lasts a significant long time. So let's do that. So this chart covers the last 15,000 years of temperature. You can see at the Younger Dryas cooling period on the left hand bottom side of the chart there, we were at that point just merging from a glacial period where Arctic-like conditions were commonly experienced for the previous 85,000 years, and changing from that cool period or that glacial period, like I've marked there on the bottom of the chart, into an interglacial period. And that from that point we merge from the glacial period, the cool part, into warmer temperatures, and that spans around 8,000 years and covers the Holocene warm period, the Roman warm period and the medieval warm period. But I need to bring your attention to the present day, where it's been encircled and there's an arrow pointing to it, the present global warming time. Because just look at the levels of temperature before that period of time. They're all above the present temperature line, which means clearly we were in an interglacial period. And I just added those on there for you at the bottom of the chart so that you can see the difference between a glacial period and interglacial period. The only thing I haven't been able to do is extend the red interglacial period line another 80,000 years, because this chart only covers 15,000 years of climate or temperature. So you can clearly see on this 15,000 year chart that we are returning back into into a glacial period, a time where the Earth cools dramatically for another 90,000 years. And you can see from the line that we are already clearly a good 2,000 years. Let's say, for argument's sake, on this chart we are a good 2,000 years going back into that glacial period. In fact, we have seen to this present day and time the lowest temperature in 8,000 years. You can see that clearly. If we look at the 8,200 year cooling period, that was the last time 8,200 years ago we experienced or witnessed temperatures at these low levels. Just let that sink in a little bit. Think about that, guys, what they've been telling us over the last 20 years. The Al Gore's out there saying that it's global warming, when clearly the facts show that it was global cooling. They got it 180 degrees completely wrong, and it's deliberate. It is absolutely deliberate, but not for the reasons like a lot of people will think. It's for the fact that they can exploit money out of this, and they realised that, you know, by blaming CO2 and trying to pull the blindfold over everybody in the world regarding it, they could net themselves literally trillions and trillions of pounds or dollars. And that's exactly what they've done. And they want to keep pushing this because it is so lucrative. There is, you know, every reason, according to them, to use taxpayers' money to fund private companies that so proclaimed, you know, are green, are working to reduce CO2 down to net zero, and at the same time, you know, they don't care about how expensive it comes to us. And we've seen that by the governments recently allowing energy companies to double and triple their prices, and in doing so they have drove up the prices of everything as a result, because everything starts with an input of energy and ends with an end product. And at the beginning, if the energy is twice as dear, then the end product is likely to be the same, twice as dear. But I don't want to get away from the fact of how important this is for a lot of other reasons. You know, they are failing to prepare human continuity to merge back into a glacial period. With prolonged building up of ice on the power that is transported over an open countryside all around the world, there will be added ice build up on those lines, and they will eventually snap and fail to supply, you know, the electricity to cities and towns and villages. And this is why I've been telling you guys that cities are toxic and are the last places you want to be during this period of time that we are merging into. And you might think, well, you know, we've got plenty of time because these are big numbers and, you know, we've got all the time in the world. I don't think that that is the case, and I don't think that that's the case because of the following chart which I'm about to show you. First thing to note is the date on the bottom. It's the 1st of July 2023, so this is up to date, and it shows that red line above most of the others going back 10 years, and that amounts to around 3 or more million square kilometers of ice over the Arctic Circle right now. And, you know, it's so far away from what Al Gore predicted, that there would be no ice, that we would make extinct all the polar bears, and that children in this present day and time would never know what snow was, because it wouldn't snow anymore because of the global warming that we'd be experiencing. And that is so far from the actual truth. And surprisingly, Al Gore got a Nobel Peace Prize for that, and he hasn't been asked to return it at this point in time, because I think at the very least he should do, and he should face some very staunch criticism for what he's actually failed to predict. And there it is in a nutshell. You know, I know 10 years on the scale of records going back 15,000 years is not a lot. And I know that, you know, when you're looking at temperature over just 15,000 years, that still is not a lot. You know, I think when we look at the interglacial and glacial periods going back, you know, 5 million years, there we start to see the natural patterns of climate on our planet. But all of these have been omitted. They haven't even omitted, you know, the last 15,000 years of climate on our planet, because we would have all understood what was going on. There is going to be a mass panic at some point when people finally realise what's going on. And right now, you're very lucky, because I know a lot of you, I really know this for a fact, because I believe that more people would support this channel and this observatory and this research if they completely understood the implications that this is going to cause. Because we've got no choice in this. This is going to unfold. But when it unfolds for the mass people, when they become aware of it, you will see massive changes. At this present time, you have the affordability of the knowledge that we're sharing, and you can act now. If you wait till everybody else realises, which is what most human beings actually do, and we can see that by when we have 6,000 people watch the video, and a couple of people out of them 6,000 write a few comments, a couple of people chip in a few bucks, we know we've not got the attention of those people. Because if they knew exactly what it was that was being shown in these videos, it would be frightening to them. And we're trying not to frighten people. We're certainly not suggesting that this is going to be the end of the earth, because it would be wrong to do so, because obviously the earth has gone through these changes many times. But what we are emphasising is that right at this point in time, there has never been so many human beings on this planet dependent on mass agricultural production and technology. And when we face events that are coming like this, it does dramatically affect the climate, which affects the food baskets of the world, and affects technology, because our technology has not been set up to deal with these events. And that's where our governments have truly and utterly let us down. And they've let us down first in the fact that they have failed to provide for human continuity, and that they have failed to advise people so that even if the government aren't prepared to help them, they had a fighting chance of helping themselves. If you're waiting for the realisation of the general masses to do something, at that point it'll be way too late for you to act. This is, to give you an analogy, the same situation that if you was in the knowledge of Bitcoin doubling in price, you would have put everything you had in equity into Bitcoin in 2018. Because if you did it in 2018, you'd be sitting on double your monies today. But if you invested just in 2019, when everybody was starting to hear about how fast and rapid Bitcoin was expanding and how much money you could earn about in it, it was already too late. Because I know people that invested in 2019, £10,000, it's gone down to £6,000 now. So you get in late in the game and you act late in the game, you lose in the game. Right now you are in at the right time, and this information is coming at a point in time where you can act and do something about it. Don't kick yourselves in the pants by realising later on you had an opportunity. There was someone spending a hell of a lot of time trying to help you guys realise that, and you still failed to act. Biggest thing that I can advise you on right now is that the cities have never stood up to this in our past history. When there has been large events like what we're about to experience, cities decay very quickly, and we have seen empires collapse as a result of this. And this time will be no different to those times that we've already, I could tell you, the Roman Empire, the Egyptian Empire, etc., etc. They go back, these empires do. And for the same reasons, they all failed. If you look at the River Nile in the Egyptian period, it failed to flood and and make nutrient that land either side of the Nile. Do you know that the Nile has still to this day supported life for those people that live in Egypt? Without the River Nile, there would be no life. And if you look at where all the cities and major towns are, going back thousands and thousands of years, it's all surrounding the River Nile. When things change, like happened to the Egyptian Empire, when things change and the river no longer floods and fertilizes that land and makes it rich in nutrients and things like that, it decays. It stops the production of food that supports the numbers in these empires at this time. And when that happens, you have the collapse of an empire. We're going to see this on a scale that we've never witnessed before because of our technological advancement and the numbers that are on this planet at this present time. Can't emphasize it enough to you guys. The true facts have been brought to you in this video, just relating to a natural cycle. Tomorrow we will be breaking out the SD cards out of the Trimag system and showing you the latest position of the magnetic North Pole, which is also on our backs. A lot of good scientists have already left this arena because they feel that their life's work has come to no good and has been manipulated for the wrong reasons. Because like doctors, like soldiers, scientists, believe it or not, take an oath to do things for the benefit of mankind. And I can understand why many scientists are walking away from their arenas of specific interest because of what they are confronted with. And you don't understand this, guys, that you will be ridiculed, you will be pushed out of your job if you have an alternative explanation to what is going on. And for a lot of scientists, studying climate is a basic. And when you realise that what is happening at this point in time is so far away from the truth and is a lie, you've got no choice but to ask yourself the question, where are the fundamental foundations now, today, in science? Where is the honest work being conducted? And what has happened to those scientists that took an oath to do work for the better of mankind? Real sad times we're in for a lot of reasons, guys. I get beat up all the time mentioning the link down there, and I know right now that is the signal for a lot of people to evacuate the video because they know I'm going to mention the link. How sad is that? These people that have just this minute left are probably in their thousands, and I can't understand it. These people, when they go out for a meal, leave a tip for the waiter. He's only just brought the plate from the chef to you. Yeah, what actually did you benefit from that? But you give them a tip. What we're showing here, in comparison, is priceless. And 2,000 or 3,000 people just walked away without even acknowledging the fact that we run on donations and that we work really hard to make sure that you get informed and we're thinking about your best interests. Put that in comparison with the waiter or the waitress that just brought your plate and you regularly think it's a norm to donate or give them a tip. If everyone thought along those lines with regards to the work that we conduct here at this observatory, we wouldn't have to ask for any more support. We'd already have it. It's just the way people think these days. So there is a link down there if you want to help support us. We're trying to help you, and trust me, there is more effort gone into just bringing that that meal for you out of the kitchen to your table here. This alone has been going on for 10 years. It's worth supporting, trust me. Guys, come back with us tomorrow. We'll do the latest pole position, and I'll say what I usually do. You take care of your loved ones, as always. Bye for now.